The city was unusually quiet that night, its usual hum of activity muted under the weight of a cool breeze. Downtown Los Angeles seemed to breathe differently after dark, its streets illuminated by a patchwork of neon signs and flickering streetlights. Shadows stretched long across the pavement, and the faint aroma of distant food trucks mingled with the sharp tang of urban grit. It was a stark contrast to the brightly lit, sterile environments Elon Musk usually inhabited. For Musk, the walk was unplanned, a rare moment stolen from his unrelenting schedule. Dressed in a simple black hoodie and jeans, he blended into the night. The air carried a strange serenity, one that felt almost foreign to a man whose days were filled with the chaos of innovation and problem-solving. As he strolled, his thoughts wandered, not about rockets or electric cars, but something more intangible, something human. Turning a corner onto a quieter street, Musk caught sight of a figure seated on the curb. The man, wrapped in a worn jacket too thin for the crisp night, looked up as Musk approached. His face, framed by a scruffy beard and weathered skin, was both tired and kind, with eyes that carried a weight Musk recognized. The look of someone burdened by the past, but not entirely defeated by it. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice rough but steady. "Could you spare $1?" The simplicity of the request stopped Musk in his tracks. A single dollar. It was such a modest, almost insignificant amount in the grand scheme of things, yet it held a weight that Musk couldn't immediately define. His first instinct wasn't skepticism or pity, but curiosity. "Why $1?" Musk asked, his tone more inquisitive than dismissive. He crouched slightly to meet the man's gaze, intrigued by the specificity of the request. The man chuckled softly, a sound that seemed to carry both humor and weariness. "$1's enough to remind me people care," he said, holding Musk's gaze. "And it's easier to ask for something small than something big." Musk nodded slowly, the gears of his mind turning in ways they hadn't before. This man's reasoning was disarmingly practical, yet it hinted at a deeper story, one Musk suddenly felt compelled to hear. "What's your name?" Musk asked, slipping his hands into his hoodie pocket as he sat on the edge of the curb beside the man. "Sam," the man replied. He hesitated before adding, "Used to be someone else, though. Someone who had a home, a job, even dreams." The honesty in Sam's voice pulled at something within Musk. He had spent his life chasing dreams, bending reality to his will, and yet here was someone whose reality had unraveled to the point where a single dollar was all he sought. "What happened, Sam?" Musk asked, his voice quieter now, the question carrying more weight than he expected. Sam looked down at his calloused hands, the silence between them heavy yet unspokenly understood. "Life happened," he said after a pause, his voice tinged with resignation. "Not all of us are built to bounce back from everything." Musk listened, his curiosity deepening. There was more to this man than his current circumstance, and Musk's mind was already piecing together the threads of a story that wasn't his own, but somehow felt important. As the sounds of distant traffic echoed faintly in the background, Musk felt the start of a connection forming. A moment suspended in the night where two vastly different worlds briefly overlapped. For the first time in a long while, Musk wasn't thinking about the future of humanity or the next big innovation. He was simply present, captivated by the humanity sitting beside him. The city's quiet persisted as Elon Musk glanced at the dimly lit cafe a block away. The soft glow from its windows cut through the darkness, inviting yet unassuming. Musk stood, gesturing toward it. "Let's grab a coffee. My treat," he said. Sam hesitated, his eyebrows furrowing slightly, but he nodded. "Sure, why not?" He rose, brushing off his jacket, and followed Musk down the street. The cafe was almost empty, save for a lone barista leaning against the counter and a couple whispering in a corner booth. The scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the faint hum of a jazz tune playing from a dusty speaker. Musk ordered 2 cups, black, and motioned for Sam to take a seat by the window. As they sat down, the steam curling from their cups seemed to warm the air between them. Sam took a sip, exhaling softly. "It's been a while since I've had coffee like this," he said, his voice carrying a mix of gratitude and wistfulness. "What happened, Sam?" Musk asked, leaning forward slightly. "You said life happened. What did you mean?" Sam placed his cup down and clasped his hands together, his fingers rough and weathered. "I had a family once," he began, his tone steady but tinged with pain. "A wife, a daughter. Worked as a mechanic. Not glamorous, but it kept food on the table. Then the layoffs came, one after another. The factory shut down, and suddenly my skills didn't mean much." Musk listened intently, his eyes fixed on Sam as he spoke. "It's funny," Sam continued, a faint smile on his lips. "You think you're prepared for anything until the dominoes start falling. My savings ran out. My wife tried to hold it together, but stress, it changes people. She left, took our daughter with her. I don't blame her. I couldn't provide anymore." The words hung in the air, heavy yet unembellished. Musk nodded slowly, his mind racing, not with solutions, but with questions about the systems that let someone like Sam fall through the cracks. "What kept you going?" Musk asked after a moment of silence. Sam leaned back, his gaze drifting to the window where the glow of a streetlight illuminated the sidewalk. "Hope," he said simply. "And people like you. A kind word here, a dollar there. It reminds you that not everyone's forgotten you exist." The simplicity of the statement hit Musk harder than he expected. He had spent his life solving monumental problems, working on scales most people couldn't fathom. Yet here was a man whose life had unraveled over something as basic as losing a job, whose resilience was fueled by the smallest acts of kindness. "I don't think I've ever truly stopped to appreciate how much a small gesture can mean," Musk admitted, his voice thoughtful. "I spend so much time thinking about the future, making things better on a global scale. But hearing your story, it's a reminder that sometimes it's the small things that matter most." Sam chuckled, his smile genuine this time. "You don't have to move mountains to make a difference. Sometimes, just being seen is enough." As the conversation deepened, Sam shared more about his life on the streets, the camaraderie among the homeless, the unexpected kindnesses, but also the systemic issues that kept people like him from getting back on their feet. "Affordable housing's a joke," he said bluntly. "Shelters are overcrowded, jobs are hard to find, and the rules keep changing to favor those who already have plenty." Musk leaned back, processing Sam's words. His mind, accustomed to tackling complex problems, began connecting the dots. The barriers Sam described weren't insurmountable. They were solvable. They just needed someone willing to look at them differently. As the night wore on, the cafe grew quieter, the barista wiping down tables in preparation for closing. Sam finished the last sip of his coffee and looked at Musk with a mixture of curiosity and gratitude. "You didn't have to sit and listen, you know. Most people don't." Musk smiled faintly, his eyes thoughtful. "Sometimes, it's the unexpected moments that teach us the most. Thank you for sharing your story, Sam." Sam nodded, but there was a flicker of something deeper in his expression. Hope, perhaps. For the first time in years, he felt truly heard. Musk glanced at the time and stood, sliding a business card across the table. "If you ever need a second chance, call this number. I don't have all the answers, but I can at least try." Sam took the card, his fingers trembling slightly as he pocketed it. "Thanks," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Not just for the coffee, for listening." As they stepped outside, the city seemed a little less cold. Musk watched Sam disappear into the shadows, his mind already turning toward what he could do, not just for Sam, but for the countless others like him. For Musk, this encounter wasn't just a passing moment. It was a call to action. The following morning, Elon Musk couldn't shake the conversation he'd had with Sam. As he stood in the conference room of one of his offices, reviewing plans for the next big project, his thoughts wandered back to the simplicity of Sam's words. You don't have to move mountains to make a difference. After the meeting, Musk called his team together. We've spent years focusing on the future of humanity. Space exploration, sustainable energy, AI. But there's a future right here on Earth that needs attention now, he said, his voice firm but reflective. Let's start by addressing homelessness. His team listened as Musk laid out a vision. It wasn't just about charity or temporary fixes. It was about systemic change. Musk proposed developing modular, eco-friendly housing units, affordable, easy to assemble, and sustainable. If we can build rockets, we can build homes, he said, a spark of determination in his eyes. He also announced plans to fund programs providing job training and mental health resources, partnering with grassroots organizations already working on the front lines. His goal was ambitious, not just to alleviate homelessness, but to create pathways out of it. The announcement came just days later at a press conference. Standing before a crowd of reporters, Musk spoke passionately. Last week, I had a conversation that reminded me of the power of connection, he began. We often talk about changing the world on a grand scale, but sometimes the most profound changes come from small actions, like listening, like caring. This initiative isn't just about housing. It's about hope. The initiative, dubbed the Haven Project, launched within weeks. Modular housing units began appearing in cities across the country, starting with Los Angeles. Each unit came equipped with solar panels and water recycling systems, embodying the sustainability Musk championed. Beyond housing, the project included community centers offering job placement services, counseling, and access to education. Sam was one of the first beneficiaries. Musk personally reached out to him, ensuring he was among those given a second chance. When Sam moved into his new home, Musk visited, handing him the keys with a smile. You gave me perspective, Musk said. Now it's my turn to pay it forward. The ripple effect of Musk's actions was immediate and far-reaching. Corporations took notice, with several pledging funds and resources to support similar initiatives. Lawmakers began drafting legislation to address affordable housing and urban development. The media hailed Musk's efforts as groundbreaking, but for him, it wasn't about recognition. It was about responsibility. Weeks later, Musk stood at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for one of the project's largest community centers. As he addressed the crowd, he reflected on the journey. The truth is, I didn't set out to solve homelessness. I had a conversation, a simple, human conversation, that reminded me of what really matters: seeing people, listening to them, and doing something about it. Sam was in the audience, standing among dozens of others whose lives had been changed. When Musk's eyes met his, Sam nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the moment that had started it all. As the event ended, Musk lingered, watching families move into their new homes, children laughing as they explored playgrounds, and adults discussing plans for the future. It was a scene of hope and possibility, one that reminded Musk of the power of acting with empathy. Later that evening, Musk stood alone, gazing at the stars. His mind drifted to the countless challenges humanity still faced. But for once, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He'd learned that big dreams didn't always have to involve the cosmos or cutting-edge technology. Sometimes, they could start with something as small as $1 and a willingness to listen. Elon Musk's story reminds us that change often begins in the most unexpected places. It's not just about resources or influence. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and choosing to act. A single conversation on a quiet street didn't just change one life. It sparked a movement, proving that even the smallest gestures can create ripples of transformation. And as the story ended, the message lingered. When we listen, when we act, and when we care, we can change the world, one moment at a time.